Now to our first story, government is assuring Ghanaians that it has taken all the necessary security measures to ensure the safety of citizens and security of the nation, despite accommodating two former terror suspects. Deputy Communications Minister Felix Ofosu-Kwakye gave the assurance after concerns raised by Ghanaians about the propriety of the country's decision to accept two former Guantanamo Bay detainees of Yemeni origin.
Last year, Ghana received a number of requests from one country and two international bodies. The first request came from the International Tribunal for Rwanda. That was trying some individuals alleged to have been involved in the Rwandan genocide. They wound up the activities last year, that is 31st December 2015. But they have a number of detainees who have either been tried and acquitted and discharged, or have been tried and sentenced to prison terms but have served it in full. Nonetheless, the situation in Rwanda is not deemed to be conducive for their return because there are fears of reprisals because of lingering tensions about the genocide. And so the tribunal requested Ghana to accept a number of detainees. They gave us a list of 22. We indicated that we could take just two, but we are yet to identify those two and undertake the necessary formalities to receive them. Let me stress that this is in keeping with our international obligations to assist in international crisis. The second request came from the U.S. government, where they indicated that they had a number of detainees of Yemeni origin. These detainees were rounded up together with others and kept at Guantanamo Bay. And you've given the background of Guantanamo Bay and the concerns that have been raised about its compliance with international law and whether or not they have been violations of the rights of these individuals. Now, the U.S. government has indicated clearly that the individuals they wanted us to take have been cleared of involvement in acts of terrorism that are prejudicial to either the security of the United States or any other country for that matter. Now, ideally, they should have gone to Yemen, like you indicated, but we all know that there's a raging conflict in Yemen, and therefore it is not conducive to receive them. Subsequent to that, the Ghana's ambassador to the United States, Brigadier General Henry Smith, who is a former defense minister and a former army commander, was given direct access to these individuals. He interviewed them in order to corroborate the information given him by the United States government.
A statement signed by the Foreign Affairs Minister Hannah Tete indicated that the move was in response to a request by the U.S. government. According to the statement, the two Yemenis have been cleared of any involvement in any terrorist activities and are being released. The refugees will be allowed to stay in the country for 2 years. So why not any other country but Ghana, and its government's assurance on having taken the necessary security steps before accommodating them enough for those who have had quite an unpleasant experience with refugees in the country. Irbad Ibrahim is an international and security news analyst, and he's been providing some answers earlier on the AM show.
You've been to the Middle East before. You've traveled to the Maghreb.
Several, yeah.
Look, Arabs are very hardworking people.
Very. I love their tradition, their culture too.
Yeah, especially Syrians. Syrians are artisans. They are highly skilled. They've got the acumen to help our manufacturing and industrial sector. So therefore, for the Syrians in particular, I think Ghana should be ready to open their doors. We all have issues about what happened in Paris. And 8 guys that attacked Paris and held it hostage, killing 130 people. Some of them were Syrian returnees, people who had trained with ISIS. But you can screen them. They can help in Ghana's economy. Germany wants some of these people. So if Ghana is given the opportunity, I know Syrians that are here and they are doing quite well. And some of them have actually moved their families into the country. So there is no cause for alarm. I believe the war in Rwanda has gone stale, and therefore, so former former Rwandan, militia people and rebels should not be a cause for concern for our national security. Let's do due diligence. We've done it before. It's deja vu. We created Bujumburam camp to help people in their time of distress by providing them solace and redress. So we've done this, and we have a strong handle on it, and I think we should be able to pull this off.
We also have Dr. Vladimir Entridanso, who is an international relations expert, to tell us more. Thank you, Dr. Vladimir, for your time. Hello? We have lost Dr. Vladimir on the line. We'll get him back. But the mayor of the Kumasi metropolis, Kojo Bonsu, has warned that market women who cook at night and stay in the market will be arrested. Mr. Bonsu gave the warning when he went to assess the extent of damage caused to the central market, which was razed down by fire last night.
If we are pushing blame, you should go to the market people. They block the entrances. You don't get a chance to enter. So they shouldn't bring any issue of apportioning blames. And now we have an issue at stake that we have to look at. That is the most important. And when we look at that, we look at what they are saying. But importantly, that is not the issue that they should be talking about now. Not preoccupying. There can be now you want to apportion blame?
Before the market will be, the redevelopment will be completed, what measures are you going to take? There are bylaws, so how are we going to enforce them to ensure that we won't have the fires before the market is completed?
Thank you very much for this interesting question. We've gone through the bylaws, we try to make sure that they comply. But you know the situation in this central market. In fact, this week I was going to come on a communication this thing just to sort of let them know that it is important to abide the rules and regulations of the market. I mean, it's very impossible. You say this, they do that. Look at what has happened. So, I mean, definitely we're going to comply. We're going to push the rules and regulations. And even now we're going to go to the extent of arresting people.
Over 100 shops were destroyed in the latest fire. Shop owners who lost their wares to the fire have been counting their losses with very little or no hope at all of getting back to business. One of the victims spoke to Joy News.
How have you been affected?
I can't tell right now because I don't know what to say again. I've left everything inside the market. My dad, I've left 10 million there. The 10 million is for my daughter.
You mean 10 million cash?
Yeah. She's going to school on Monday. I have 2 stores. One is rice and oil, and one is tomatoes and other stuff, spices. I don't know what to say again.
If you quantified, how much have you lost?
It's over 700 million. Old Ghana said this is over. It's getting to 1 billion.
Have you insured the shop?
No, I didn't insure the store.
Why?
They won't come and insure it for us.
You mean the insurance people?
Yeah.
Why?
I've made one attempt to it, but
what reason did they give you?
They said it's market, and market always got them. So if you go there, they will tell you they will come. They will come and see. They will come and look at your stuff, but they won't come. We don't have any option.
Now to other stories. The police administration says it intends to use online services to recruit personnel into the service in its enlistment. The police service was last year rocked with a recruitment scandal with hundreds of prospective recruits turned away. Director of Human Resource Administration, DCOP Patrick Timbela, and other officers were interdicted after a probe into the scam. But Director of Public Affairs of the police, Superintendent Sefazatha says they have picked intelligence of people's attempt to recruit unsuspecting individuals.
When next the police decide to do recruitment, we are not going to sell forms. We are likely to use e-recruitment. And so it is a clear-cut case that when anybody approaches you with the tantalizing bait that part is so money and that the police will assist you or will assist you to join the police, straight away you know that it's a lie.
Is that the new, interventions the IGP made mention of in media report recently, that the police is going to change its way of recruiting officers?
That is so. That is partly the new interventions the IGP discussed, and which intervention and which discussion was misconstrued and miscommunicated, and also led to the rumors that people are peddling. So the police are going to do a lot of, or introduce a lot of innovations, and just to ensure that we improve the way we do our things, so as to ensure that our service to the general public is also scaled up.
He also adds that police have forwarded files on DCOP Timberlake and other officers implicated in the scandal to the AG's department.
Files being sent to the AG is one of the major directives given to the police administration by the Police Council. And if I should enumerate them again, one, the police officers amongst the suspects should be kept still on interdiction, which is being complied with. And you bear me witness that those officers, including Mr. Timbila that you mentioned, are not working. Two, we should make haste and forward the case docket to the Attorney General's office for advice, which we have done. And three, we should conduct service inquiry, our internal justice or disciplinary proceedings into the conduct of the police officers amongst them, which we are doing, and which I can assure you that before long the results will come out. This is a matter that about 2,000 and more individuals are involved. This is a matter that you need concrete evidence to prove your case. And just as it happens in the court, people don't hurry about handling cases like that. And they do so, they take their time to do it so as to ensure that nothing wrong is done against anybody.
What is the link? You said there was a service inquiry ongoing. What has necessitated this service inquiry if the police is dealing with those who have been, found culpable, should I say? Why the service inquiry again into the police?
No, service inquiry, when you join a security institution like the police, like the military, your liability is double. When you do anything that borders on criminality, you will be dealt with criminally in the court of law. But being a member of the police, the security agency or the police service, for instance, will also make you liable for service inquiry. That is disciplinary procedure internally. So if it were in the ordinary case in the court, somebody would say that is double jeopardy. You suffer twice. That is why if you are a member of the security agencies or the police service, you are special.
We take a break on Joy News today. We'll be back with more. Welcome back. Thanks for staying on Joy News today. Now, the Economic and Organized Crimes Office, YOCO, has arrested 4 staff of the Information Services Department for unauthorized withdrawals of cash from the department's accounts. The 4, including immediate past director Noel Acton Teta, said to have withdrawn the money without the authorization of the new director, Francis Arthur. Also, the Director of Budget, Director of Finance and Administration, and one other staff were also among those arrested. The four are said to have connived and signed checks for the withdrawal of 142,000 Ghana cedis from the department coffers without the approval of the new director who took over last month. The money was meant for the payment of staff allowances. Given schoolgirls' sanitary pads could reduce girl-child absenteeism by half in Ghana, according to a 2010 Oxford University study. Now, a young Ghanaian woman is pioneering an initiative to provide adolescent girls in rural Ghana with cheap sanitary pads made from leftover pieces of cloths donated by dressmakers. Joy News' Justice Beidou traveled to the Ashanti regional town of Dewia to witness the first donation of these pads and filed this report.
A hard task before the day's school journey begins in Dewia, a remote village in Ghana's Ashanti region. Today is a difficult day for 15-year-old Hawa. It's the first day of her menstrual cycle for this month. This ragged cloth is what she uses. She has just one and has to wash every time it is soiled with blood. On days like this, going to school is tough. Hawa is able to make it, but half of all girls who stay out of school in Ghana do because they can't afford sanitary pads in times like this.
When the blood comes, I feel weak and dirty. It's uncomfortable. Those are the days I don't want to go to school. My friends, they would laugh at me if they see it. My school uniform would be soiled. Most of the girls here can't afford to buy pads. They are expensive, so we just stay home.
Some of them, they use racks and those things when they get into their menses. And in the absence of that, they feel they will soil themselves when they come to school. So during those periods, some of them intentionally absent themselves, not because of menstrual pains, but the anxiety that sets in that they may soil their dresses.
It's a complex overlap of issues that has to do with gender and then culture. Like me, a man, talking to these girls about menstruation. It's unheard of. And it's part of a bigger societal problem that means that girls like these are eventually cut off from the societies in which they live. When academics from the Oxford University studied the subject in 2010, they concluded that this issue does not only affect the health of girls and their education, it even affects how they relate with their friends in school. And that is what this woman is seeking to change. Bernice Dapa grew up in rural Ghana, using rags herself in her menstrual period.
When I was young, when I had my menses, I used to get all these rags, unclean clothes, just to use it, clean it and use it again. Sometimes I have to hang it in the room because I feel so ashamed to go and hang it outside to get the sunlight that can kill all the bacteria or any germs in it. So I could see it's really an issue that we need to tackle. So it just reflected back, yes, it's true, because I've passed through all these issues, a lot of infections during schools. The little money they give it, they will give it to you. You just go and use it to buy creams and medicine just to treat it. So if all these things are being addressed, how can they save their money to also look at how best, if I don't have book, I don't have this, we can also assist. So that is the reason why I'm encouraging a lot of NGOs or the young people to also go back and give to the society, the community.
For girls in Deria, these sanitary pads mean they can remain in school. But that's for today. And as the cultural prejudice that makes menstruation a nightmare for girls in parts of Ghana persists, several thousand girls their age across the country would keep suffering silently. Justice Beidou, Joy News, Deria.
Now, news coming indicates that fire has razed down a portion of the Asama market. Emmanuel Gate is there to give us some more. Hello, Emmanuel. Hello, Emmanuel. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Hello.
Can you tell us exactly what's happening now at the Asama market?
Oh, okay. Actually, it is not exactly the Asama market, but it's just closer to the Asama market. Exactly opposite, behind the Asama police station. There's a wildfire there, and then I think hundreds of houses are being razed down by the fire. That place is almost settled by wooden structures. And actually, we can't tell the exact cause of the fire, but the fire service is here and trying to put the fire off. But they are finding it very difficult as of.
Okay, so Emmanuel, can you tell us if residents of the slum area are there and how they are reacting to the fire incident?
Yes, they are there, and then the fire came all of a sudden, and it was so wild that they had to flee the rooms. And because they are wooden structures, most of them are wooden structures, they had to leave their belongings, and then they are out looking just ajar, the fire, and they don't know what to do. But the fire service came in, I think, about 45 minutes after the fire started, and then they are helping to put down the fire.
So as we're speaking now, the fire service is controlling the fire?
Yeah, they are, but the fire is so wild that there's only one fire tender which is around now, making things very difficult for them. Actually, they can't even go closer to the fire. They are just very far away from the fire, and they are trying to.
Okay, Emmanuel, are we picking up any casualties on the ground?
As of now, I cannot tell because there's a lot of crowd here, and then we can't tell if there are casualties or not, because it's difficult even to go through the people to even get closer to the fire. So unless maybe it is calmed down by the fire service, that is when we can know if there are casualties here.
Thank you, Emmanuel. We'll be picking updates in our subsequent bulletin. We'll take a break. We'll be back with business. Thanks for staying. It's time for business, and Emmanuel is here. Emmanuel, how are you doing?
Please, I'm fine. How are you too?
I'm doing great. How's business today?
Well, the controversy surrounding the closure of some microfinance companies, and while other people lamenting about the closure, is still raging on. But Bank of Ghana is saying that it has little to do about this situation. All right, so that's the details.
Let's go.
Okay, so still in business, the Bank of Ghana says there is little it can do to retrieve funds of depositors of the 70 microfinance companies whose licenses have been withdrawn. The companies were banned from operating mainly due to their inability to meet certain regulatory requirements for full operations. The action has since sparked some agitations among a section of depositors who are blaming the central bank for their predicament. Raymond Amanfo is the head of other financial institutions at the Bank of Ghana.
The fact of the matter is that they are not supposed to take deposits. So if you ask me that I don't know whether they are taking deposits, then you are asking me to confirm an illegality. You understand?
I get from you that the Bank of Ghana's hand is tied here, because we could have gone in to get those funds if they were legalized by us. Then we could have gone in to help. No. Now, the fact that they are not legalized...
You see, the point... listen. Well, I didn't say that. What I'm saying is that if a company is doing an illegal business, right, is doing an illegal business, my duty is to warn the public is doing illegal and hand them over to the security. They deal with it. Because under the laws I operate, I don't have power to prosecute. I don't have Mine is that it's an illegality. We advise the security, we close the company, the security handles the, then becomes an illegality, becomes fraud, and they deal with it.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Microfinance Institutions Network, GAMFIN, is worried about 30% of microfinance companies operating in the country that are not properly monitored and regulated because they are not registered with any association. Executive Director Yao Jenfi tells Joy Business the association is, however, embarking on an intensive 6-month education drive to reverse the trend.
Of Ministry of Finance, very soon you will see a lot of other things that will happen by way of public education. And it's going to be very intensive for the next 6 months, just to make sure that the public is also well educated on who to work with when it comes to microfinance business. It will take a form of financial literacy. Once we do that, a lot of people, things will be drummed home to people, just to make sure that they also understand who to work with, the kind of questions you have to ask when you're doing investment, the kind of questions you have to ask when you're borrowing from a microfinance institution, and then even if making a mere inquiry about where to do business with microfinance, how do you go about it? So we are going to put a lot of materials across for everybody to appreciate that you can't just enter into any field and do any business, but rather have a little knowledge about it and then ask the appropriate questions.
All right, away from that, civil society group Third World Network is asking government to look into the operations of Anglo Gold Ashanti. The call comes after the suspension of a joint venture agreement between Rank Gold Resources to redevelop the Obuasi mines. Some industry analysts have maintained the move is just a strategy by Anglo Gold to get out of the country, looking at the current challenges with gold prices. But the coordinator of the Third World Network, Dr. Yao Graham, says the development shows that there are more questions to be answered by the mining giant.
Close the mine, they are scrambling to find a partner to be able to make the investment. So there have not been enough public questions asked of how we came to be where we are with Obuasi in relation to Anglo Gold Ashanti. Because we've asked the question about what has AGA done in keeping with the agreement that they signed. We know that the parliamentary oversight that was part of the agreement was not taking place. What else was not taking place, which led us to where we are? We need answers to those questions. And it will be better to get answers to those questions so that the future is better than the past that we had after Anglo Gold Ashanti took over.
Also, that was Dr. Yao Graham. Now, former rector of the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GIMPA, Professor Stephen Adair, is charging the youth especially to see entrepreneurship as a first option for employment after school. His call comes as many of the country's youth lament the lack of jobs, even after they are attaining the required qualifications from the various tertiary institutions. Professor Adair says such graduates should rather consider establishing their own businesses for their desired financial independence. He, however, cautions about the possible challenges.
Still, people look to starting your own business as a last resort. It should become the first resort. Of course, starting your own business is harder. While those employed in the bank are getting their bank loans and other things, you may be taking trustee. But the truth is that almost all future millionaires will be people who will afford it and start their own businesses. It requires discipline, willing to start small, work hard, establish credibility by banking every money that comes to you. Initially, it's going to be difficult, but if you want to become a millionaire, know those who steal to become millionaires, then they have to go the entrepreneurship way.
All right, so just before we go, the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union, GTPCW, has kicked against a recently imposed 25% hike in price of petroleum products. The Trades Union Congress TUC member organization believes the increase was rushed through Parliament without any meaningful deliberations by the people's representatives or wider public consultations. In a release signed by its General Secretary Husseini Idrisu, the GTPCW said the union is of the view the basis for the rise in the prices of petroleum products has been shrouded in confusion, lacks transparency, and the reason for it is unacceptable. The union is demanding a withdrawal of the so-called energy sector levies without delay. And that's it for Business for Now. Do join us at 7 p.m. for more business updates. My name is Emmanuel.
The Interior Minister, Mark Woyongo, has confirmed that the Brong-Ahafo region has been identified as one of the hotspots to pay special attention to ahead of this year's crucial general elections. The region has witnessed a number of violent clashes and activities over a period of time, with some security experts warning it has to be given a special attention. Beatrice Edu has the rest of the story.
Last year, some security experts expressed concerns the Brong-Ahafo region needed a special security attention. They observed the region has become notorious for chieftaincy disputes, murders, and politically motivated violence. For instance, the chief of Sekwa was murdered in 2013. The incident occurred as the chief, Nana Kweku Ankwana II, relaxed on the porch of his private residence after he had returned from a function to climax the annual traditional festival. The violence in the region has since snowballed. In August last year, at least 3 people died in Kwapon in a violent attack launched by the youth against the police officers there over a controversial arrest. The police had to evacuate the station over fears of being attacked and refused to return to post until the ringleaders had been arrested. In September 2015, a reporter with Peace FM was shot dead by assailants. This incident put fear in some of the journalists who claimed they were being targeted. In October same year, customers of DKM, a microfinance company in Sunyani, vandalized the premises of the company and attacked staff over unpaid deposits. It took police intervention to restore calm. Just last month, the regional minister, Eric Opoku, expressed worry there were increasing numbers of murder cases, with 37 cases in 2014 as compared to 34 in 2009. A 3-year-old daughter of a worker of microfinance institution in Brekum was kidnapped by an aggrieved customer, and a radio station in Nkranza was shut down after customers of another microfinance company attacked the company over unpaid claims. Given the escalation of violence, the Interior Minister says it has a strategy to ensure that insecurity does not spiral out of control.
The security agencies have identified, or they are identifying, the flashpoints, and they are going to step up security in those areas.
We have Interior Minister Mr. Mark Woyongo on the line. Hello, sir.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. So what are we going to do differently ahead of 2016 elections at the various hotspots you have identified?
Well, as I was telling you yesterday, we are going to identify, in fact, most of these flashpoints have been identified. All what we need to do now is to enforce or to strengthen the security in those areas. If we had a skeletal staff in the area there, we now need to strengthen the security in those areas. So basically what I'm saying is, after we have identified those flashpoints, there will be the need for us to strengthen security based on the gravity of the situation on the ground.
Okay, Mr. Woyongo, sorry. What exactly are you going to do to strengthen the security? You keep saying strengthen, but what exactly are you going to do to strengthen the security?
We'll put more men on the ground. We'll give them the logistics to be able to put law and order in those areas.
Thank you very much for your time. That was Interior Minister Mark Woyongo speaking to us. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with international stories. Thanks for staying. For more news, kindly log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Bernice Abubedu. Enjoy the rest of your day.